Let's talk smartphones. A very good piece in Business Day today, also available on Business Live by Tim Ruckman. Headline, Rescuing Our Children from the Clutches of Smartphones. The evidence is in and research shows the litany of ills phones and social media have delivered. Now, what is ironic is that the article talks about keeping smartphones out of schools, and it is above another article which is headlined Pros and Cons of Using WhatsApps in the Classroom. That shows the dilemma we are in. Teachers are trying to use technology, others are saying keep the technology out of the classroom. But the issue is not just one for schools, it is a very big one for parents. And there's a group called Smartphone Free Childhood, SFC, which was started in the UK and has now gone global, and there are people in South Africa who are part of Smartphone Free Childhood. One of them is Courtney Atkinson, working parent, and one of the working group founders of SFC. Hello, Courtney. How are you?
Hi, Mike. I'm super. Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, firstly, your journey. How did you end up with this group, Smartphone Free Childhood?
In April, I attended a talk at my school, and I heard of all the horrors and the data for the harms and the negative effects that smartphones and social media are having on young minds is pouring in. And at the end of this talk, I felt rather helpless, and I could hear helpless parents in the room. And I thought that if we are all sharing this helplessness and this frustration with this impossible position, why don't we get together and do something about it? And it was at this time that bubbling up with parents in Cape Town who felt the same way, and a bubbling up that had taken place in the UK, same story, parents getting together, something about it.
All right, and this group, SFC, tell me a little bit about it.
Right, so our mission is really to connect and empower parents to press pause on smartphones and social media for kids. What is really important is that up until this point, when I left that school talk, I didn't have options. My options were to put on my parental control, lock down the router, set my screen limits, and then kind of hope for the best. But I was in a position where there was a lot of kind of peer pressure and pester pressure from the kids to give in to these devices. And it felt like a lose-lose. You either give in and, put them in harm's way, or you don't give them these devices and they are potentially excluded and ostracized by their friends. So the reason what SFC is focusing on connecting and empowering parents is that we recognize that there are so many parents who are feeling this frustration. And if we can connect at what we're calling a hyperlocal level, in our communities, in our school groups, and we can commit to delaying together, we can just say it's not a no, it's a not now, and we can say it together. So it removes the issue of your child being, in inverted commas, the last one or the only one without. And it just buys us a little bit more time for their brains to develop before we kind of let them loose on the internet.
Okay, let's be specific. What sort of ages are we talking about? What sort of measures are you talking about trying to build a community involvement with or commitment to?
Right, so kind of every age and stage has its different challenges. What I'll be talking about today is our Parent Pact, which launched about 10 days ago, and that's really focusing on primary school aged parents and how we are connecting people. And this is the same as what happened in the UK. And, please don't laugh at this idea, but we are connecting parents on WhatsApp.
Okay, so the dreaded social media has its uses.
That's right. So we are not anti-tech. We see tech as an incredibly powerful and valuable tool, and we're using it as a tool and not as a toy. And so WhatsApp has enabled us to connect parents in their school groups. So you go onto our website, find our kind of link of WhatsApp, and go right down to Atlantic or northern suburbs or southern suburbs, a list of 50 schools. Can jump into that group, and I can see the other parents in my child's school community who feel the same way that I do. We can then, in our school group, have conversations that relate specifically to our community. I'm really not enjoying this iPad policy coming at us in grade 3. What do you guys think about it? I feel that the boys are really gaming too much at the moment. What are the other parents experiencing, and what can we do about this together? So it's really getting parents to talk about the issues that they are experiencing, which are unique to them, right? And this now creates the platform for parents to start having these conversations and then to do something about it. So the second part of what SFC is trying to do is to empower parents and to equip them to take action. So we have a bunch of wonderful resources. We've got a letter template that you can copy and adapt and send off to your school leadership to talk to them about, the growing concerns of parents, this opportunity and this hope that SFC brings by taking collective action, and that we are able to kind of prevent these risks and harms, happening to our kids for a little bit longer. We've got on there PowerPoint slides and talking notes. We've got guides for schools on, how to start to implement a phone-free academic day. It's a really, really rich hub of tools and resources gathered from all over, right? There are people all over the world who are experiencing this point just like us.
Courtney, there are two parts of this. One is the school. That to me is actually the easier part to handle, although we've still got a long way to go. The other, far harder, is parents, children, access to the phone. What do you feel is the appropriate age levels for the various steps in terms of people getting mobile phones, smartphones?
Well, I'll say right off the bat, Mike, that I'm not an expert on this. But the person who is an expert on this is Dr. Jonathan Haidt, who's released a book called The Anxious Generation. It came out in May, and it's been on the New York Times bestseller list ever since. And he has kind of distilled the problem that we have in this environment, which is that we are overprotecting children in the world and underprotecting them online. And he has put forward 4 norms that he is encouraging parents and society and schools to take to correct this really harmful societal shift that we've experienced. And they are no smartphones until high school. Now, in the States, I think that is grade 9, so no smartphones until high school. Until then, give your child a feature phone, what we're calling a start phone. The second norm is no social media until at least age 16. It's really, really important development that's happening during puberty, and you want to ensure that children are kind of safeguarded from the online comparison, the cyberbullying, all the horrors that go on social media in that very, very vulnerable age. The third norm is phone-free schools. So that looks a little bit different in primary school to high school. And so, as I say, these issues are really unique at a hyper-local level. But the main thing is that children should not have access to their phones at all during the academic day. And the fourth norm that he puts forward is that children have more unstructured, free play and independence in the real world. And this is how they learn. This is how they learn the critical skills that they need to develop into, healthy, functional adults. And these skills that they learn in childhood are unique and very, very difficult to learn in adulthood. And so all of these screens and, time on social media, all of these things are, at a minimum, there's an opportunity cost for real world skills and real world skill development.
Oh, look, it all sounds wonderful, but boy, it sounds ambitious. Thankfully, I'm not parenting kids of this age anymore, but to say you cannot have a smartphone until grade 9, no social media until 16. Those are very ambitious real-world deadlines for parents to deliver on.
They may be, but the kids themselves, the teenagers and the young adults, are saying that they wish that their parents had held out a little bit longer. And the data is indicating of as parents to keep our kids safe. And thankfully, there is this tipping point taking place in the world. Parents, we can feel it in our bones that something is not right. And parents are rallying, they're coming together, and it's actually making it a heck of a lot easier. So since the advent of SFC in the UK, they now have 140,000 plus parents in the world who are kind of coming together in their communities in over 60 countries. We have the exact same thing happening here in South Africa, and specifically in Cape Town at the moment. We're backing up into Joburg. And And it's becoming easier because these conversations are being had. Parents are sharing their concerns, and they're making a commitment together through the SFC Parent Pact to delay collectively. So if I may just tell you about the Parent Pact that we have set up, it's on our website.
What is the website address? Just give it to me.
Right, it's sfc-sa.co.za.
sfc-sa.co.za. Courtney, we're out of time, but it's been a very, very interesting conversation, and I really appreciate your contribution. I think you're starting to tackle head-on something that many of us as parents have just looked the other way on and then later on regretted it. So I really appreciate your time. That's Courtney Atkinson, who's one of the SFC Working Group founders in South Africa. That address again, sfc-sa.co.za. Whether you agree with the measures that SFC, which is Smartphone Free Childhood, are proposing, or disagree, at least have the conversation and think about it. And we all as parents need to be a bit braver and a bit bolder and a bit stronger and a bit firmer in terms of regulating access to smartphones.